Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday afternoon, and welcome to part 2 of our beginner scarf project. How's everybody's Sunday going? How was your Thanksgiving? Ours was pretty chill. Just a couple of my family got together at my aunt's and we had delicious Thanksgiving food. And then actually yesterday, I had a very small Friendsgiving with my two best friends. And that was really nice. And we got to Christmas decorate and all that good stuff that a lot of people do on Thanksgiving weekend. So we are here a little bit earlier in the day today. I'm sure you can tell. Kind of trying to switch it up a little bit. So we're trying it out in the afternoon. So we'll see how it goes. How's everybody doing? Oh, well, as you can see, I am by myself today. Becca is helping her brother move, so I am hosting solo today. For those who are new to our stream, my name is Dana, and right now, every Sunday, we are working on a community project. It's a beginner crochet project that I started, and we are making this really simple scarf. So last week we made our first square. And so today I'm going to show you guys how to switch colors to add your second color to your scarf, and then we're going to make our second square. So if you guys have your yarn and hook ready, let's get started. Okay, so as you can see, I have my first square from last week, and then I went ahead and cut off that color, my yarn, so because since we're done with that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to join our next color. Okay, so what I ended up doing is I ended up undoing my last single crochet because I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to attach my second color. So first I'm going to get it ready. So this is my color I'm going to attach. And then here we go. Okay, so as you can see, I have one more single crochet left in my last row of my first square. And for those who would like to make this with us and want to like catch up, basically what we did is we chained 21 and then crocheted 20 rows to make our first square. So it's 20 single crochets across and 20 rows top to bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go into my last single crochet as if I'm going to make the last single crochet. Just like that. And I'm not going to do that last yarn over and pull through. I'm going to leave it just like this. Leave those two loops on your hook. Next what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my second color that I want to join on, and I'm basically just going to loop it over my hook. Just like that. And so you see how I made my own yarn over. And basically what we're going to do, and here comes my cat. Oh, she always has to make an appearance. Okay, Luna, come on, get down. Thank you. Okay, so I looped over my second color onto my hook. So as you can see, I put the tail part in the back. That's important. You want the tail in the back. So you take your tail up and over, and it's in the back. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pull this new color loop through our other two loops. And basically we're completing that last single crochet with our second color, just like that. And I usually like just to make my tails the same length, so if I need to pull it more blue, there we go. Perfect. Okay, we have now added our second color to our scarf. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take off my sweater. I'm getting a little warm. Okay, there we go. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure our tail part is behind because we don't wanna accidentally start crocheting with that. And we're going to take our working yarn of our new color and we're going to yarn over and make that chain 1 to start our new row, just like that. And now we're going to turn our work, and now we can start our first row of our second color. And so remember, we want to find that first stitch, insert our hook, and then we want to yarn over and pull up a loop. So we have 2 loops on our hook, yarn over again and pull it through to make our first single crochet in our new color. And pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to work our 20 rows in our new color. So I'm going to finish this first row and then I'll stop and show you guys how it looks with the second color. And again, just a reminder of how you do your single crochet is you insert, okay, like so. Make sure both those loops are underneath or above your hook, and then you're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. So you have 2 loops, and then you're going to yarn over again and pull it through both those loops. And that's how you make a single crochet. And that's pretty much the only stitch we're using for this project. Just a way for us to practice our first crochet stitch we've learned. Okay, there's my first row of my blue. Look how cool that looks. So see, we added a second color and it makes that really cool. It just looks really cool. And here's my sample, so you can kind of see too. And so pretty much that's all you really know in order to make this scarf. Is basically we're gonna do 20 rows of each color. And I think I'll have to recount, but I think it's 9 squares of color 1. So whatever color you do your first square of, you want 9 squares of these, and it's 8 squares of your second color. But adding that second color just gives the scarf that extra, I don't even know what the word would be. It just makes it look really nice in uniform. So you could literally, you know, just pick your 2 favorite colors, pick 2 colors that, you know, remind you of something to make a scarf out of. I mean, you could even, if you want to get crazy and use multiple colors, you are more than welcome to do that too. So there's row 2. It looks really nice with this blue. This is going to be a really cool scarf. So basically we're gonna work on this second square and hang out. If you are working on a beginner scarf with us, let me know what colors you're using in the comments. I'd love to know what color combos you guys are doing. So what I am using is I'm using the Hook Nook yarn. This is her main squeeze line. So this is the color I'm using right now. This is it's called Peacock Peacock Feathers. And then my first color is, let's see, Marigold Fields. So it's like, to me it's a mustard yellow. She actually has a lighter yellow that's called mustard yellow in this line, but this looks more mustard to me. So I'm using this color for this, and then like I said, today I'm using the blue. And then Becca is using a forest green and a light gray. She's doing her Hogwarts house colors. I'm sure you guys, if you guys are Harry Potter fans, you can guess what house she is. I thought about doing one for mine too. I'm in Hufflepuff, but I didn't really want to work on a yellow and black scarf. So these two colors popped out at me, and they kind of were just sitting on my shelf. So I decided that those were the colors I was going to make my scarf out of. Only bummer is I've noticed about this yarn is, and I don't know if it's the yarn or if it's my hook, but sometimes the yarn splits. I don't know if you guys can see that happening, but it's already happened twice. Okay, let's stop and take another look. So I'm working on my fourth row of my second color. And it looks really good so far. And remember that these indents is kind of how I like to count my rows instead of counting each one. Like, so since I'm on an even row, here's my second row here. So I'd count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, etc., etc., etc. So if I wanted to start counting, whoa, excuse me, my phone's ringing. If I wanted to start counting how many rows of blue I have, I'd start here. So here's my second row, and so I'd be on my fourth row. So, how is everyone doing this weekend? Is everybody still stuffed from Thanksgiving? I'm extra stuffed because, like I said, I had a Friendsgiving yesterday. So I actually got the full Thanksgiving experience, as in I was cooking all day yesterday. And I was so tired from cooking last night that I actually slept through the night. And it must have wore out my children too, because no kids woke me up. And so I was able to sleep through the night. And I actually feel like I got a really good night's rest. It's a big deal for a mom of 3 children, 5 and under. All right. Now I have row 5 done. I think what I'm going to do is once we finish our second square, maybe I'll show you guys how to sew in your ends too. That'll be a good tip. Whoops. Is anybody ready for Christmas? I am definitely not ready for Christmas, but I'm excited that it is Christmas season. Christmas is my favorite time of year. We actually put our tree up a week earlier. Yes, please. I'm not good at sewing ends. Okay, great. Yes. I will definitely be showing how you guys do that. I was not good at sewing ends either. And it took some practice, and then I watched a couple of different ways people did it, and now I've kind of created my own way to do it. So maybe I'll do half the square and then I'll show you guys how to do it, so you're not waiting to watch me crochet 20 rows. But yeah, we put our tree up a week early, and then so we have one of those pre-lit trees, and the top and half of the bottom, like half of the bottom branches were the only things that were lighting up. So pretty much our pre-lit tree isn't pre-lit anymore. And so my husband had to go out and get more lights so that we could actually decorate our tree. Okay, no worries. Yeah. I still think I might do it at 10 rows, but sounds good. Yeah, so we got to decorate our tree yesterday, and that was fun. I always love watching the kids like try to put all of their all of the ornaments in like 2 sections of the tree. like no, the whole tree needs to be covered. So last year we bought a real tree because we're temporarily living in California, and we bought it. Pretty much was like a Christmas shrub because it was a super short tree, but it literally didn't look like a tree shape. It literally looked like it was a shrub. So we joked that it was our Christmas shrub. And so they had less of a tree to decorate last year. I don't think that made the difference, but it was funny because now we have our artificial tree this year, and they just wanted to put all of the ornaments in one spot of the tree. Man, there's something about the single crochet that just is so satisfying to me. Like every time I work on this scarf with you guys, I want to make a blanket out of just single crochet. I should just do it. I should just start a blanket, even if I don't like start and finish it all in one period of time. It's just so nice and neat. We put up our tree 2 days ago. Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, we put up our tree early, but we finally like actually decorated it last night. So our poor sad tree needed lights. Yeah, actually, growing up, my family tradition was, since everybody was over on Thanksgiving, we would put our tree up and decorate our tree as a family on Thanksgiving after Thanksgiving dinner. Okay, so that's an odd row. Let me go ahead and work my next row, and then I'll figure out what row I'm on. This is starting to look really cool now, seeing both colors together worked up. One thing I'm starting to realize now that I am back in California is I really, really miss the snow. Actually, my husband thought I was crazy because he does not miss the snow, but I do. And I'm sad that we won't have White Christmas. We never had a set day to put up the tree or take it down February. When was it last year? There was one year that we left our tree up like well into February, so that's funny. Okay, so I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 rows. Okay, so I'm about halfway there. So I'm gonna let those who are working on their beginner scarves continue to work on it, and then I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to sew in your ends. So the cool thing about crochet is that there's no right or wrong side. They both pretty much can be either. So you pretty much get to pick your side, like which side you want the right side, which side you want the wrong side. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my even row side my right side, which is what I'm showing you right now, because you can see the indents are my even rows. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and flip it over to my odd side, so I have it on my wrong side. And what you're going to need in order to sew in your ends is you're going to need what's called a darning needle. Now, the reason why you specifically need a darning needle is it has a big eye. The eye of the needle is bigger than like a regular sewing needle so that you can actually put yarn in it. Where did my other needle go? Like, here's the difference. This is a smaller knitting needle, or knitting needle. This is a smaller sewing needle. Still has a long eye. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's smaller. So compared to this, yeah, this is the one you need. Super easy to find in where you would find like your hooks and stuff at a craft store. So what you're going to do is, if you ever sewed before, you're going to take your end that you're going to sew in, and you're going to thread your needle with, oh, see, look it. Sometimes the yarn will do that and it will split. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually fold it in half like this and make like a loop. See how I made a loop there? And then we're going to take our darning needle and pretty much push that loop through the eye of the darning needle. That actually makes it a lot easier to thread. And so you just want a little bit of the tail out on the other side of your needle, just to have enough to keep it on your needle. And what I like to do is, so here's my last row of my yellow. I like to go in one row down from the top. So we're going to go in this row right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to find that first stitch of that row, and we're going to go into it from the side. And so I'm just going to go right through that first stitch. Well, actually, I'm going to go into the chain one and then into the stitch, just so we can get it started, and just pull it through like that. And so now that we have it through that first stitch, I'm actually now going to go down into the stitch below it. And so I'm just going to stick my needle. You know what? I wonder if I should zoom it in more. Let's see. Okay, maybe you guys can see better, and then I'll zoom it back out when I go back to crocheting. Okay, so as you can see, I went through this stitch, and so now right here, I'm going to go into this stitch and just go down. And then I'm going to pull it through. Just like that. And so what I like to do is I like to go over and under to kind of weave it in. So I'm in between this V right here. I'm going to go over the left side of the V, and then I'm going to go under this side of the next V and pull it through like this. And then now, since I'm on this stitch, I'm going to go up. Okay. And I think I'm actually going to go ahead and go up into that next stitch of the row above. So we're going to actually go over this one, over this hump, into this here. And pull it through there. And then now I'm going to go over this one again and under into the next stitch of that row. And so now we're in the middle of stitch 3 of this row. And so again, I'm going to go over this V here, and then I'm going to go down into that next stitch below. I kind of just do this zigzag up and down, up and down. Some people go straight down and back. If it's a super like quick project that I'm not going to be worried about, even if the ends come out. That's usually what I do. But when I like make something for somebody or want to like triple make sure that my ends aren't going to go anywhere, this is how I usually do it. Okay, so now I'm down into the third stitch of the third row, I guess, from the top. And what we're going to do is, remember, so I went down and now I'm in between this V. We're going to go over this left side of the V, over and under into the next stitch. Like that. And then we're going to go back up. And then we're going to go right back in, or go into that next stitch that's above the stitch we just went through. And basically I'm going to go under this first V so that we're in the middle of this stitch. Just like that. Okay. Now I'm going to go over this V into the and under into that next stitch. And so now we're in 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth stitch from the side. And then I'm going to go over this, the second V, and then down into the next stitch below. Okay, so we went 5 stitches over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do one more just to make sure. Sometimes I'll even go halfway. Sometimes I usually go at least 6 stitches in. So we've done 5, so let's go ahead and do one more. And so now I'm in between the V on this one. So I'm going to go over the left one and under into that next stitch over. And then I'm going to go up. And then we're going to go up underneath this V2. And then just to secure it, we're going to go over this V again, but go back down into that same stitch we just came from. Okay, and now that I'm done sewing that in, I'm going to take my little embroidery scissors and clip that tail off. And there is your first sewn in end. So, can you tell that I sewed it in? It's actually really hard to tell unless you know that I did. It's actually really hard for me to tell. I can kind of see it if I really try. Sorry, I'm dipping my head in. I can kind of see it if I really try to look at it, but like if you just look at it, just to look at it from like afar, it doesn't even look like it's there. That's really cool. But yeah, that's how I do it. Another way, like I said, I'll just kind of demonstrate. I'm not going to cut this off though, because I don't want my end to be that way. But another way you could do it is you could go in from the end and just basically maneuver your darning needle in between the stitches. Again, going at least 6 stitches in. And then you'd pull it through like that. And then what I would do is I would go in between the stitch like I did earlier and go up into that second row. Well, third row technically. And I'd pull that through. And now I'm in between this stitch. And so I'd go over this part of the stitch and then under into the next and in between all the rest. And then you just pull it through the other side. I'm going to keep it a little loose so I know where it is to fix it later. That's a really easy way you can do it. Like I said, if you're doing it as like a selfish project, or if it is your very first project, this would be a way to do it. Excuse me, I have like dry throat. But if you want it to be like secure, like have it survive through washes, this would be the way I would do it. Again, it's a personal preference thing, but those are the two simplest ways you could do it. If I didn't know where it was, I don't think I would ever see it. See, exactly. Like, really, nobody's gonna know except you. Hey, I still have that tickle in my throat. So weird. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out now so I don't forget. Oh, you know what? Is that even my end? Oh, it is. Okay. Like, hopefully I'm not pulling out a stitch. That would be pretty bad. Yeah, so I'm just going to pull this out. And then we'll find... I actually don't know where it is. Oh, there it is. Hopefully that's it. Yep, that's it. Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna fix my camera so we're not so zoomed in. But I wanted to make sure you guys could see what I was doing. Perfect. Okay, so we're on row 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So we've got 10 more rows of our blue to go. Now, when you want to sew in your ends, you can either do it as you go, like what I did. So I worked a little bit of my second color and then I went back and sewed in, well, only one end, but I would have probably sewed in both, this one and my blue. And then you don't have to sew in all the ends at the end. Or if you just want to keep crocheting, you can pretty much work your whole project and then go back and sew in all your ends. When I do like big projects, when I'm changing colors a lot, I really try to discipline myself to like work a certain amount of my blanket. And then I'm like, okay, I've made 10 rows because blankets are huge. So like 10 rows would actually take a while. I should probably start sewing in my ends. And so that's my preferred method. But there are times where I'm like, I don't want to stop crocheting. So I'm going to keep crocheting. And then I'm done with the blanket. And then I have like 100 ends to sew in. And then it takes me another month to finish the blanket because I procrastinate and don't sew in all the ends. It's every crocheter's and probably knitter's least favorite part of our craft is having to sew in the ends at the end of the project. That's why sometimes it's a lot of fun to make projects in just one color and then you only have 2 ends to sew in, which is your beginning tail and your ending tail. How long have you been doing crochet? So this Thanksgiving, I actually just hit 8 years. So I started crocheting in 2012. I am a crafter at heart. I've been a crafter at heart all my life. My Nana actually tried to teach me to crochet when I was 8 years old, and she could only teach me how to crochet a doily. And so after my 3rd doily, I was over it. And I'm like, I don't want to crochet. So I did latch hooking, and then I also found a love for punch needling, which surprisingly has like come back in popularity in the past couple years. Like when I was punch needling, nobody knew what punch needle was. I've seen it a lot more recently, probably in the last year, probably since quarantine. But in 2012, I did a semester at Calvary Chapel Bible College in Marietta, California. And it was right before Thanksgiving break. I was in class, one of my last classes before break, and one of my friends in my class was crocheting. And I watched her for about like 5 minutes instead of listening to my class. And I finally asked her, I'm like, what is that you're doing? She's like, oh, it's crocheting. My roommate showed me how to do it. And so I watched her for another 5 minutes. And then later on that day, I was like, you know what? I think I can do that. And I think I like went to the store and found a crochet hook and grabbed some random skein of yarn. And then I went home for Thanksgiving break. And I thought like I remembered exactly how to do it. And I tried to like crochet and it didn't work. And so then I went to my Nana and I'm like, hey, Nana, can you show me how to crochet again? And so she showed me how to do the beginning chain and then the single crochet. And that's pretty much how it started. I think once I got the hang of like single crochet and I realized I really enjoyed it, I went back to the craft store and like bought like a crochet stitch book and pretty much self-taught myself since then. So technically my Nana taught me how to begin to crochet, and then everything else I learned after that I was self-taught. Mostly from books, and then when I started to realize that there was some content on like YouTube and stuff to like show me how to do certain stuff that I couldn't quite figure out from a book, that's how I learned that. Like the crocodile stitch, if you guys know what the crocodile stitch is, it's the one that looks like scales. That one I had to find a video for because that one I for some reason could not figure out how to do on my own. So yeah, 2012, that would be 8 years, right? Yeah, so 8 years Thanksgiving. And it's probably the only craft I've never like stopped doing in a long period of time. Well, I guess it's not entirely true. After I had my first daughter, I actually stopped crocheting for like 3 months. And then I met my best friend Anessa at my church, and she crochets and knits. But at the time, she was mainly crocheting, and she invited me to like a crochet night hangout Wednesday nights. So Wednesday nights, my husband and my mom would keep our oldest daughter, and I would go hang out for like a couple hours at a coffee shop and crochet and hang out with moms. It was a lot of fun. We did that for a long time, and that was when we lived in Indiana. So when we moved to California, I was a little sad, and I still miss them. And actually, occasionally, we'll have like a crochet night via Zoom, and so that's been really nice. I get to catch up with my crochet friends from Indiana. How long have you been crocheting and or knitting? Do you crochet or knit? Oh, wait. You do crochet, right? I have to remember that. It's so hard for me to sometimes like recognize usernames. Like real names would be easier for me to recognize and remember. But remind me, is it knitting or crochet? Okay, now I don't remember. I almost feel like I might have gone over 20 rows. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Okay, I'm on row 18. Almost done with square 2. I think we'll stop at square 2 today so that Becca has time to catch up too. So I'm not like halfway through the scarf and she comes back next week and is like, so I haven't even done my second square. Okay. Okay, so I've done some of both. I'm much better at crochet. I enjoy it more. I finish like 10% of the projects I start or want to start. Yep, totally the same thing. Like I said, I do knit as well. How long have I been knitting? I've been knitting since 2018, so only 2 years. I thought it was 3 years. But basically, I've tried to knit 3 times, and so I retried for the third time in 2018 and actually got the hang of it, and I've actually have completed a couple of different knitting projects. Knitting for me is more like a pleasure, it's for pleasure. So like I knit my very first holiday knit sweater, which I should finish and actually wear on my show if it actually continues to be cold enough. That would be a really cool thing to show you guys, is my knitted sweater. And then I've knit a shawl, a triangle shawl that I got in a knit crate. And I've mostly finished like a single person like knitted blanket, but that's not quite done yet. And then I'm also finishing crocheting like a basic baby blanket. But knitting blankets takes forever. And I get really bored really easily with knitting because it takes forever. Like if I was crocheting the same blanket, it would have been done already. So I definitely prefer crocheting more because I can do it a lot faster and it is easier. But I do really like the look of knitting. Knitting looks a lot nicer in certain ways. Sometimes better than crocheting. But crocheting is like my jam. Okay, that was 19. I think this is my last row. 20. I actually haven't knit in a really long time. I should pick up another knitting project, but right now I'm in the middle of making Christmas presents and fulfilling orders. So I don't really have a lot of time. See, look, it's split again. I don't really have a lot of time to do like personal projects as of right now. I finished crocheting a couple of beanies. One I loved that was a basket weave pattern. Ooh, I've never done the basket weave stitch. I think that's one stitch I've actually never done. I would really like to make a blanket out of the basket weave stitch, but I know that'll take forever. But I've started like 2 blankets that aren't done. Yeah, see, it'll be embarrassing if I tell you how many projects I have right now. Well, I can count this one as one because I am making a scarf with you guys. But it really it's for the stream, so I really wouldn't call it a work in progress, but I guess it is. So right now I'm making 2 dolls. One of them is a unicorn doll for my daughter, and the second one is just like a regular doll for my niece for Christmas. And then I have a temperature blanket that I am so behind in. Like I have not worked on it at all. I think the last month I was in was May. Oh, it makes me so it makes me cringe that I like put it off so long. But, I can still make it whenever, and I'm hoping maybe once I finish the Christmas projects, I can work on that again. I started knitting a bag, and that was from another knit crate I got. But I'm going to have to start over because I think I messed it up. What else do I have in work in progress? I have another crochet blanket that I'm designing and writing a pattern for that I need to finish. And I think that's it. Oh, and then I started another blanket for my oldest daughter. She wanted a new crocheted blanket. And so I'm about halfway through that. And that's in like Neapolitan ice cream colors. So like the brown, the pink, and the beige. Literally looks like Neapolitan ice cream. Was not planned that way, but the basket weave beanie I found on YouTube, I spent clearly about 2 weeks of consistent work on, maybe like a week and a half. Wow. Well, for a beanie, yeah. So is it pretty easy? I mean, I'm trying to think. I remember seeing it and I'm like, oh, I really want to make a basket weave blanket. I think that would look so cool. Okay, so I think I have 20 rows. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Cool. There's my second square of my beginner scarf. It wasn't too complicated. See, I might just need to do it. I might just need to do it and start a blanket for myself with the basket weave stitch. Because I think one of my crochet books actually has that stitch in it. Okay, so I finished my second square, and I kind of just want to show you guys it compared to my completed scarf. So I have, maybe I should sew in this end too. I didn't completely sew in the ends of this, so I'm going to look unprofessional for a second. Oh, you know what? Well, I did use 2 different types of yarn. And actually, I think I used an I hook for this one, and I'm using an H hook for this one. So it's going to be a little bit smaller. So you guys can see the difference between when you use 2 different hooks. So, yeah, this is going to be smaller. That's okay. So here's my current one, and this is the sample one. And so now, basically what you do is you alternate the colors. So let's go ahead and, because I said I was going to count how many of the first color. So my first color for this one was the brownish gray, I guess you'd call it. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it's 7. So it's 7 squares of your first color, and then it's 6 squares of your second. So an odd number of your first and an even number of your second. So it doesn't have to be 7. Like if you want it to be longer, you can totally make it longer. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for this stream today. Because like I said, my co-host is also making her scarf with us, and I don't want to go too far and have her have to catch up next week. So thanks again for you guys coming and hanging out with me and crocheting. And thank you for asking some awesome questions and just chatting with me. This makes it more fun when you guys interact with me, so I don't look like I'm just talking to myself. So I really, really appreciate it. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to, ask me on Twitch, or on Facebook, or on YouTube. I'm also on, Instagram and TikTok, as you can see below on my border. Next week, we'll go ahead and just continue working on our scarf, and maybe I'll think of some topics to talk about while we're crocheting. But pretty much what we're going to do is just continue to work on this scarf until we're done, and then I think maybe we'll learn a new stitch and start a new project. So Wednesday nights I'm going to start doing a WIP Wednesday, which is a work in progress Wednesday, where we kind of just have a productivity hour. And so you guys can just bring your projects and just come hang out with me for an hour or so Wednesday nights. I would love for you to come hang out with me and chat anything crochet, even to tell me what you guys are working on. I love to hear what other people are working on. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys Wednesday. Have a good Sunday.